So, I'm going to explore with you some ideas about Feng Shui in the office. However, just remember, it's only an exploration. These are all possibilities, and you can play around with it and see where it takes you. So, in the society, we spent a lot of time trying to define what Feng Shui is, but the shortened version is that it's a study of how humans interact with their environment. And we look at how people react to their environments, and a bit like a plant, if we can have the right soil and light and everything, and if we can plant ourselves in a certain kind of building, perhaps we can flourish in a different way. And if we're thinking in terms of our own energy, and that energy carrying some of our thoughts and ideas, then emotionally we could respond to changes in energy. So this room might produce a certain kind, or make it easier for us to think in certain ways, and out of that have certain emotions, rather than another kind of room. So here's the example of standing in this is a couple of my kids in a cathedral, and then another couple of them in a cafe. But the mood's very different, and if you've been to a big cathedral, spent about 20 minutes on your own very quietly, you'll find your thoughts are different to going into a cafe and spending 20 minutes there. So in terms of a business, then it's really looking at what kind of energy, or in an office, we can use to help ourselves work. Whenever I'm looking at a building, first impressions are the most important thing. How do I feel as soon as I get to the building? Does it ever have a memorable feature? Next time you go to cafes, restaurants, any public building, a shop, is there something there that's going to stick in your memory? If there is, then the building of the business is working for itself. It becomes a talking point, and people will go around telling everyone about it. Or similarly, you could say, does the building have a kind of Feng Shui signature? Is there something about a building that helps you feel different? So again, have a look when you go into different cafes or all kinds of public buildings. How do you feel there? Is there something special about it? Well, as we've seen before, if we think of the earth, humans and heavens, then we're in the middle, and Feng Shui really is all about people. And at work we need to know how we can help each person succeed, which may be different for each person, and create the atmosphere. And yes, the other thing that sometimes gets missed in Feng Shui is how we can engage our senses with an environment. So if you think of all our senses, how are they going to be really engaged at work or in the office or during your typical day? So if we look at healthy working spaces, one of the things that was mentioned earlier was the idea Jan mentioned about electrical smog. On all my consultations I take a meter and we measure different electrical equipment, and the meter, you could just be 6 inches or very small distance further away from something and be out of the main field. So its distance makes the biggest effect, and most things, if you take 1 meter, you'll be out of the field. There's been a lot of research to show that people in hospitals recover quicker when they have a view of nature. So as humans we respond to nature, and as we've seen quite a lot today, having plants in an office will then actually make us more relaxed. So indoor plants are very good, but even if you can just have a view of the sky, it's something. The people I feel quite sorry for is people working in a basement office and it's all artificial light and not much to see. When we're sitting in a room, if we're facing into the room, we tend to place ourselves in a more powerful position in the sense that everything is front of us. So if I'm standing here, I can see all of you, the entrance, a bit of the window up there, and really there's not much going on behind me. So if this was an office, it would be quite a powerful place to be. If I was sitting where you are, with my back to everyone like this, I just don't know what's going on behind me, and it adds an element of insecurity into how I'm feeling that. When we're stressed, some of our body fluids start to become more acidic, and that may be the mechanism where so many of our illnesses are stress related. So if, it's not proven yet, but if over-acidity then affects each cell in our body, our immune system and all kinds of other things come into play where it's a little harder to enjoy good health. So reducing stress at work is fundamental, which could be done by regular breaks, but the one I like the most is meditation, and it's very simple and it ties in a lot with other things we've heard today, because in your mind, in your conscious mind, sometimes there's a bit of a malfunction and it's, you know, saying you can't do something, or there's a negative thought going on. And if that was a computer, we'd probably press the reset button and it would restart itself and then start working again. Well, we can do the same thing with our mind. We can switch it off, even if it's just for 30 seconds or so, and when it restarts, it rewires itself differently. The connections will be different, and our mind will work differently for some time afterwards. Okay, so we can then personalize the space. We can cultivate healthy relationships in the office. That's often one of the biggest causes of stress, I find. Engaging the senses, living in the moment. So if you're typing, try and feel every key. Just become really aware of every sensation. And eating foods that come straight from the land means that we often get all the antioxidants and phytonutrients that can help us deal with the electromagnetic fields and the electrical smog. So free electrons in the body, which could come from certain foods or a computer or something electrical, we already have the mechanism to deal with it through antioxidants, and therefore a good healthy diet. So when you're next in the supermarket, try and choose foods that you can recognize as coming out of nature rather than out of a factory, and it's all in there. I'm going to skip this because we're getting a bit short on time. Okay, so that's just showing how you could set up an office so that everyone's facing into the room, and how we can then put everyone so they can see each other, teamwork easily, feel secure within the office space, and interact.